Picture this. You pull into your driveway, turn off the ignition, and realize you have absolutely no memory of the last 10 miles. It's a phenomenon called highway hypnosis. Your eyes were open, your hands turned the wheel, and you stopped at every red light. But if your conscious mind was entirely checked out during that commute, who exactly was driving the car? This sensation of being on autopilot is actually the baseline for most of your day. By tracking the repetition in our daily routines, science has quantified the scale of this phenomenon. 80% of our behavior is strictly habitual, not deliberate. The foods we grab for lunch, the way we respond to a frustrating email, the mechanical habit of scrolling through a phone, these aren't active choices. They are pre-programmed scripts running on a loop. To take back control of your actions, you have to look under the hood and understand the programming of this invisible biological autopilot, your subconscious mind. The mechanism of learning comes down to a rule of neuroplasticity. Neurons that wire together, fire together. With every repeated thought, one brain cell releases a chemical that the next absorbs. Over time, this physical connection grows thicker. Think back to the very first time you sat behind a steering wheel. It is the ultimate example of conscious cognitive overload. You are hyper-aware of every single micro-action, pressing the pedal, checking the mirrors, finding the turn signal. Coordinating all of this consumed 100% of your conscious processing power. If someone turned on the radio during that first lesson, you probably told them to shut it off. You couldn't handle a single extra piece of input without panicking. Your conscious mind is an incredibly high-effort, slow processor. It is built to do one thing: handle novel, unlearned information. As you repeat a task, neurons communicate faster. The brain carves a deep physical neural groove into its circuitry. Once carved deep enough, the action submerges below your awareness, sinking into the hidden 90% of your mental iceberg, the subconscious. That's why, months later, driving becomes so automatic that you can eat a sandwich and hold a complex meeting at 60 miles an hour. Your conscious mind is totally free because your subconscious is handling the vehicle. The brain is indifferent to the content of these loops. It only cares about the frequency of the signal. It treats a habitual emotional response with the same mechanical logic as a gear shift. Reaching for a cigarette when you feel stressed, or suddenly snapping in anger, utilizes this exact same biological machinery. These negative loops bypass your conscious processing because the groove is already carved. A familiar stressor hits the brain, the circuit fires, and your body executes the reaction before you even realize what you are doing. Chronic bad habits are the result of this highly efficient, misdirected biological hardware. The autopilot has simply been programmed with the wrong script. Here is the core problem with neuroplasticity. Once a physical loop is formed in your brain, you cannot simply press a button and delete the existing programming. The only solution is conscious interruption. You must intervene in the microsecond after a trigger occurs, but before the automated action executes. By forcefully introducing a new conscious thought, you block the old circuit from firing, forcing the brain to build a fresh connection. It is very similar to what happens when you upgrade your smartphone, and the new operating system is completely different from the old one. You experience a wave of intense frustration as your thumb automatically reaches for a familiar button, only to find it missing. That physical frustration is the sensation of neuroplasticity in action. It is the feeling of old neural connections starving, while new ones are physically forced into existence. If you endure that manual override for just a few days, the new pathway solidifies into a permanent subconscious circuit. Choosing a new thought during a trigger physically rebuilds your brain's hardware. You are transitioning from a passenger on autopilot to the master programmer of your own subconscious.